This cartoon is beginner level. Welcome to Activity TV. So you want to be a cartoonist? Then you've come to the right place. Hi, I'm Bruce Blitz, and in a moment I'm going to show you how to draw a Christmas tree complete with decorations and presents. Here are the art supplies you'll need to get started. To print out a list of supplies and step-by-step instructions for this cartoon, please visit www.activitytv.tv. All right, now let's get started and draw this Christmas tree, and it all starts with a shape, and I'm going to use my pencil to lay this out. I'm going to make a triangle shape, just like this, and I'm over here, and that's just about all we need. I'll make a line down here for our shape to build on. Now I'm going to switch to marker, and I'm going to start at the top of that point. Now watch, I'm going to make layers, actually, back and forth strokes like that for the tree, and come back up and meet that point again. And do the same thing down here, and make it jagged like that, and give the tree some character. And let's do it one more time here. And even another time, down to the bottom of that triangle shape that we started with. And you see how easy it is to get the look of the evergreen tree. All right, now over here we're going to make the trunk of the tree, 2 lines, and we'll have it sitting in kind of a pot, which is almost like a square shape, but we're kind of rounding it a little bit, like we kind of made that like a U in this too. And we're going to add a little bit of dimension in the back of that, give it kind of like it's deep, like it's actually fitting inside there. Now over here we're going to put a circle and make it into a bow. And that way it decorates the bucket it's sitting in a little bit. And a little line over there, a little line over there for shadow because it's sitting on the floor. Now we're going to create some presents. So all we have to do is make some shapes like squares and rectangles all around. This one will be a square. This one will be a circle, actually. Someone's going to get a ball for their present. And let's see, over here, I'm going to draw another square shape kind of peeking out the back. And when you have time, you can add as many presents as you want. And I'll do that. And then I'm going to add some third dimension to it as well. We're going to kind of double these shapes, these rectangles and squares a little bit, and kind of give it like a little 3-dimensional look to it. Like they have now they're boxes instead of just shapes. See that? Over here, the same thing. And maybe there. And let's put a shadow underneath the ball. All right, now we're going to draw kind of a ground line behind all these objects, like the tree and the presents, just like that. Now I'm even going to go back in with my eraser and erase that triangle shape that we started with, because we don't need that anymore. That was just something to build on and give us kind of a layout. All right, now we can put some more detail on this tree. Now what do we need? We need decorations. How about some bowls, like for ornaments, some circles, and you can put them all over. Have them hanging from those points, or just put them somewhere in the middle, kind of floating. And you can put as many of these in as you like. And at the very top, of course, we need a star. So let's do that. And connect it. Let's see, well, let's add some detail to these boxes, these presents. Let's make them wrapped by adding some lines like this and a big bow on top. One there too. And this is the sort of detail that you can do on your own when you have a lot of time. I'll put a swirl there, like maybe it's a basketball. And there it is. Now that we have that drawn, I'm going to go back in and add some color. And that's really what's going to bring out this drawing, because after all, it's a colorful Christmas tree. And I'm going to get some chalks in my hand. I'm going to start with green for the tree. And I'm going to kind of color this in. And if I go over some of those ornaments, it's okay, because I'll just bear down on the next color that I use so that they stand out. You'll see in a moment. And let's see, we need a little brown for the trunk of the tree, so I'll add some of that. And let's see, well, I'll start with yellow, and I'll put some yellow here and there, now a little bit of pink. And I see this one right over here, it's got green on it, but it doesn't matter. If I go over it with this color, it kind of takes over, doesn't it? Maybe a little bit here, and maybe some red. And let's see, how about some gold for the star? I guess we need that. And some blue. All right, now same thing for the presents. We can kind of just lay the chalk or your crayon on the side and color them in with one swoop of the stroke. And maybe some brown for the ball. How about some green for this package back here? And maybe a little bit of orange for the floor. And some red for the bucket that it's sitting in. And of course we need some strokes to kind of bring out the whole tree that is very bright. So we can use some strokes like this. And these kind of strokes in cartooning are what's known as cartoon effects and accessories. Those little extra doodles around the drawing that really kind of drive your point home of what you're trying to show. For instance, this is a very bright Christmas tree, and those lines help to bring it out. Now let's go back into this drawing and add one more thing. How about some garland? Take some red and just make some back and forth strokes all over the tree, and that really brings it all together. Now here's something else you can do after you draw a Christmas tree like this. Make your own Christmas card. Take a piece of paper and fold it in half and draw your Christmas tree right on the front cover. Then inside you can write your message to somebody. And what I like to do is on the back, I even name the card line like Blitz Originals. And down here where the cost is, I wrote priceless. And why? Because if you make a personalized card for someone in your family or one of your friends, to them, it will be priceless. I'm Bruce Blitz saying thanks for being with me and keep on cartooning.
Want to continue the fun? Well, there's always more cool activities to check out on our website. Just visit www.activitytv.tv.
Made for on demand.
This holiday craft is beginner level. This holiday season, try building your decorations from scratch. Hi, I'm Lisa Blair, and in a moment, I'm going to show you how to create a 3D Christmas tree, so stick around. Sometimes we use materials that require supervision, like scissors, so have fun creating this project with an adult helper. Here's what you'll need to get started for this project. To print out a list of supplies and step-by-step instructions for this holiday craft project, please visit www.activitytv.tv. This Christmas tree will look cool on your coffee table, and it's so easy to make. So let's get started. To begin, I'm going to take my green poster board and I'm going to cut 2 rectangles out of the same size. I'm going to use the first rectangle as a guide for the second rectangle. Okay, now that I have both of my rectangles cut out, I'm going to cut out my Christmas tree shape. I'm going to cut both pieces at the same time to ensure that they're uniform. But if you don't feel comfortable freehanding a Christmas tree, you can always draw out a guideline first and then cut out on the guidelines. Take your scissors and cut out one top triangle, just like that. Now cut into the triangle, but not all the way across. This is our first level. Now I'm going to increase the size of these triangles as I go down. And now make the final triangle. Now to make our Christmas tree 3-dimensional, we're going to create a cross section. We're going to cut from the bottom up on one piece of the Christmas tree, then cut from the top down on the other side of the Christmas tree. Now let's connect them. To add a little strength, I'm going to add 2 pieces of tape. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Now when I open my Christmas tree up, it'll stand upright. Now it's time to decorate. Fold your Christmas tree back up and grab some stars. I'm using sticky stars, but if you don't have these, you could always use paint or crayons or even glitter. I'm going to cover all 4 sides with stars. Now that my tree is decorated, it's time to create a star topper to go right on top. To do that, I'm going to take some yellow foam and I'm going to cut out 2 squares. I'm going to cut a star out of both squares at the same time to make sure they're the same size. But if you don't feel comfortable freehanding a star, you can always draw guidelines and then follow the lines that you made. Now to make this star 3D, I'm going to do the same thing that I did to the Christmas tree. I'm going to cut from the bottom up and then from the top down. Then I'm going to join the 2. Now that I have a 3D star, it's time to attach it to the tree. I'm going to fold this over. I'm going to turn my star and make a tiny cut on one of the sides that we haven't cut yet. Make sure you don't cut through. I'm going to fan out my star, and I'm going to fan out my tree, and I'm going to slip the star right onto the tree. Just like this. And there we go. That is an awesome 3D Christmas tree. I hope you had a great time joining me today. I'm Lisa. Have a happy holiday, and I'll see you next time.
To continue the fun? Well, there's always more cool activities to check out on our website. Just visit www.activitytv.tv.
Made for on demand.
This recipe is beginner level. There's nothing more special than a homemade gift, and these truffles make a great treat for your family, friends, and teachers. Hi, I'm Carrie Shankweiler, and today I'm going to show you how to make a simple homemade chocolate truffle recipe. Sometimes we cook on a stovetop or use tools that can be harmful, like a knife, so make sure you have an adult around to cook with you. Here are the ingredients you'll need to get started. To print out a list of ingredients and step-by-step instructions for this recipe, please visit www.activitytv.tv. Chocolate truffles are similar to fudge, except they're made from ganache, which is what you get when you melt cream and chocolate together. Are you ready to make some? I know I am. So let's get started. In this heavy saucepan, we're going to melt some semi-sweet chocolate chips with some heavy cream. You will not believe how easy this is. I'm going to pour the heavy cream right over the chips. Good. And then I'm going to turn the stove on to about a medium-high heat. And that's absolutely all there is to it. I'm just gonna let it sit here now until I see tiny little bubbles form around the edges. Then I'll turn the heat off and let it sit until the chocolate melts. So we just need to wait now for the bubbles. Okay, I can see that the cream has started to bubble around the edges, so I'm gonna turn off the heat. Now, I wanna let it sit for about 3 minutes so that all the chocolate can get heated by the cream. So now we're just gonna wait again for about 3 minutes. But you can see that the chocolate is starting to get shiny, which means it's just about ready to stir. So my mixture has been sitting for about 3 minutes and my chocolate is ready to stir. So watch what happens as I start to whisk this together. Before you know it, I'll have a dark chocolate, beautiful ganache. Right now it still looks creamy because the chocolate is getting incorporated into the cream. But do you see how in the center here it's starting to get shiny and dark chocolate? Now let's get out to the edges. You don't need to stir this fast because you don't want it to splatter. So just make little circles in your pan. The cream is what makes it a nice thick liquid. Knowing how to make chocolate ganache is really helpful. You can use it for frosting cupcakes, pouring over a cake. It's great for dipping pretzels or fresh fruit into, or turn it into truffles by pouring it into a bowl, which is what I'm going to do now, because look how perfectly smooth and creamy it is. So I'm going to pour it into a bowl and turn it into truffles. While it's liquid like this, it's perfect for spreading. We need it to be firm to turn into truffles. So I'm going to put this bowl of chocolate into the fridge for about 2 hours. It wants to be perfectly chilled and totally solid. Now that the ganache is chilled, it's time to form my truffles. Now this can get to be a really messy job, which is part of the fun. So let me roll up my sleeves and let's get right into this. I have this nice, firm, chilled ganache. As you can see, it's no longer liquidy. And I'm going to take a small spoonful. It's nice and firm. Here's where the messy fun begins. Put some ganache in my hands and form it into a ball. As much fun as it is to handle this, don't handle it too much or it'll get to be too warm and then it'll get mushy. Now, we have a little ball here of ganache and I have all of these little toppings that I can roll into. I'm going to put this first one into unsweetened cocoa. Grown-ups really love this one because there's a nice bitterness to it with the sweet chocolate underneath. So you tap off the excess of whatever topping and just put it on your platter. That is really all there is to it, but you can see it gets to be kind of messy. So I'm going to make a bunch more with all these different toppings. I have powdered sugar in a bowl. I have sprinkles. I have regular granulated sugar. I have some chopped nuts. Now, I told you that the grown-ups really like this unsweetened cocoa, but kids might like it better if you take a little bit of unsweetened cocoa, pour it into a bowl, and mix it with some regular granulated sugar. Then it's not too bitter. So let me just take this spoon here, mix it around. That's better. Okay, now I'm going to roll this one in the sugar and cocoa. As you roll it in the topping, that's a good time to really make sure it's the shape of a ball. All right, let's make some colorful ones now. You know, this is a really fun activity to do with your friends or even at a class party. I actually did this at a class party this year for my son's friends. I brought in a big bucket of ganache and a lot of toppings, and the kids were all spread out at their tables, their hands all covered in chocolate, rolling all of the ganache into these beautiful toppings. Look at this. How playful is that? Truffles are great to serve on a platter at a party, or you can turn them into a gift, and I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute. Let's roll this one in powdered sugar. It's like a snowball now. Okay, put it on the platter. Okay, now let me show you how to make these truffles into a really beautiful gift. I have here these really pretty little white boxes, which you can get at any craft store, and these tiny little foil liners. They're just like miniature cupcake liners. They can also be found at any craft store. So I've lined my white box with 2 little liners, and now all you have to do is take your truffles and carefully place them inside the little liners. That'll look beautiful. Okay, can you see how that looks inside? So now that your truffles are in there, let's fold up the box. You do want to be careful not to rip the outside edges. Okay, that's it. Now that you have your truffles in a box, you can wrap it up so it makes a really beautiful gift. So I have this pretty ribbon. Wrap it around. Use any color you like. If you don't have ribbon, find some colorful markers and draw your own little design on the box. Beautiful. See how pretty that looks? This is a perfect gift to give to a teacher, or your parents, or your friends. Thanks for cooking with me today. I'm Carrie Shankweiler. See you next time.
Want to continue the fun? Well, there's always more cool activities to check out on our website. Just visit www.activitytv.tv.
Made for on demand.
This recipe is beginner level. Show Santa how much you care by making him a homemade treat. Hi, I'm Carrie Shankweiler, and I have a special gift that's guaranteed to please old Saint Nick. Homemade chocolate chip cookie dough in a jar. Here are the ingredients you'll need to get started. To print out a list of ingredients and step-by-step instructions for this recipe, please visit www.activitytv.tv. Homemade cookie mix is easy to make and a fun gift to give to your friends. Who doesn't love a great cookie, right? Let's get started. To make our cookie mix, we're going to use what's called a mason jar. You can find these in the supermarket or a craft store. So, I'm going to unscrew the lid. There's this part of the lid and the flat part of the lid. Let's just set that aside until we need it. The first thing I have to do is take some flour, add some baking soda, and a pinch of salt. Now, let me just mix that around a little bit. We want to incorporate the baking soda and salt into the flour. And now I'm going to carefully spoon this flour mixture into the mason jar. Try not to spill any and kind of slide your spoon into it. You know, I love to give freshly baked cookies to my friends and family during the holidays, but it's a really busy time of year. So sometimes it's nice to give the actual cookie mix in a jar so that when other people have company come, they can make up their own cookies for their guests. Now flour can really compact, so just press it down with your spoon. You can even tap the jar a little bit. Remember, it's glass, so be careful, but it really will pack down. All right. The next thing we're going to add is some chocolate chips, a layer of chocolate chips. I like to use semi-sweet chocolate. This looks really good. It also makes these pretty layers, which makes the gift look even nicer. Okay, let's push this down a little bit. Once it gets high enough, you can use your fingers to push down. All right, let's get the rest of these chips in there. Now I'm going to add the brown sugar. Yeah, let's do it like that, because brown sugar kind of holds its shape a little bit. start to press that in. Okay. The pressure's on to fit everything into this jar. We can do it. Okay, now that my brown sugar is nicely packed in the jar, it's time to carefully add the granulated sugar. I'm going to spoon it in. And now that all of my ingredients are layered in the mason jar, it's time to turn this into a beautiful gift. So the first thing I'm going to do is put the flat lid on top. Then I'm going to screw this lid on top of that. Make it nice and tight. Okay, that's great. Now let me show you what I have to make this look beautiful. I'm going to save this part for later. This is the recipe that I've printed out. Now, I'm going to put some beautiful seasonal fabric on top of the mason jar. Use any pretty fabric that you like. So I'm going to put one layer on. Then I'm going to put the next layer on top. Maybe make it so that the points of one face in one direction and the points of the top one face in another direction. Try to center it over your jar. Now, here's a good tip for keeping the fabric on before you tie the ribbon. Get a rubber band, hold on to your fabric, and just carefully place the rubber band around the rim of the top. And then you can hold the rubber band in place while you pull down on the fabric all the way around. Now just check it to make sure that the fabric is pretty even all the way around. That looks good. All right. Now, I have this recipe all printed out because if you're going to give a gift like this where somebody needs to make their own cookies, they're going to need to know how to do it. So all you have to do is visit the website www.activitytv.tv and print out this recipe. I printed my recipe out on this really pretty paper and I cut around it with decorative scissors. Then I punched a hole in the corner and I put a really pretty ribbon right through the hole. So I'm going to tie it around, wrap it right around where the rubber band is. Okay, tie it up. I'm going to make a knot so it's easier for me to make a bow without loosening the ribbon. Like this. And that's it. You've made a really beautiful gift, something great to give a teacher or a friend or someone in your family. Isn't that so easy? Thanks for cooking with me today. I'm Carrie Shankweiler. See you next time.
Want to continue the fun? Well, there's always more cool activities to check out on our website. Just visit www.activitytv.tv.
Made for on demand.
This puppet is beginner level.
Hi, everybody! Now it's time for you to play along. So grab the elf mitten that my friend John showed you how to build, and let's have a puppet show. All you have to do is follow along with the music and words.
The Elves That Saved Christmas. It was Christmas time, and Santa's elves were very busy in the workshop making toys for all the good children of the world. It was also a special day for the newest elves, Cara Elf, Carol Elf, and Karen Elf. They were starting their first day at the workshop, and the workshop manager, Johnny Elf, was teaching them some of the most important things about being an elf.
So remember, elves, an elf must have the 3 C's. Character, courage, and confidence. You got that?
Got it.
Good.
But what does that mean?
Huh? Well, I like to explain it in a song. Hit it, elves!
Just then, there was a terrible noise, and the conveyor belt came to a grinding halt. Johnny Elf came running over to see what had happened.
Oh no! The conveyor belt stopped! J.Elf! Yes, sir? Check out the mechanics of that thing. I want to know what's gone wrong. Yes, sir. Right away, sir. Okay, everyone. You know what to do. Hit it, elves! J.Elf, what did you find? The leverator is out of alignment with the leverator. Huh? Can you fix it? Maybe by next Christmas. Oh, this is disastrous. This means we won't be able to finish all of the presents before Christmas. Well, that's it. We can't go on.
What?
Without the conveyor belt, we can't possibly get the toys to Santa's sleigh. Someone call Santa and tell him he has this Christmas off. We're done, everybody.
Wait a minute. What happened to character, courage, and confidence?
Well, we've sung the song many times, but we've never had to really do any of it. And frankly, that machine kind of scares me. So I think we're done here. Don't worry, we'll finish your training next Christmas. Have a good summer vacation, everybody.
Wait, what if we had an idea?
Huh? You? How could you new elves have an idea?
The new elves didn't answer. They went into a huddle and made a plan. When they broke, they formed a line and passed a present to each other, just like a conveyor belt.
See? We could work together and become an elf conveyor belt.
Why, this is extraordinary. No elf has ever come up with such a good idea. And you're new. Elves, this is an historic moment. What are your names?
Kara, Carol, Karen.
Huh? Right. Kara Elf, Carol Elf, and Karen Elf. You will now be the new workshop managers in charge of the 3 C's. I'm going to take an early retirement. Did I mention that machine has always scared me? But first, let's follow our new workshop managers. The floor is yours. Okay, elves, hit it.
And with that, the new elves took charge of Santa's workshop, filled the sleigh with their elf conveyor belt plan, and saved Christmas.
Want to continue the fun? Well, there's always more cool activities to check out on our website. Just visit www.activitytv.tv.
Made for on demand.
This holiday craft is beginner level. 'Tis the season to give and receive cool holiday cards. Hi, I'm Lisa Blairtz, and I'm going to show you how to make a great Christmas card, perfect for friends or family, so stick around. Sometimes we use materials that require supervision, like scissors, so have fun creating this project with an adult helper. Here's what you'll need to get started for this project. To print out a list of supplies and step-by-step instructions for this holiday craft project, please visit www.activitytv.tv. This quick and easy card will definitely spread some holiday cheer, so let's get started. To begin, I'm going to take my red piece of construction paper and I'm going to fold it in half. Next, unfold the card and take the left half and fold it into the center. Take your scissors and cut out the shape of a Christmas tree. I'm just going to do mine freehand, but if you don't feel comfortable doing it freehand, you could draw your Christmas tree first and then cut it out. I'm going to make 3 triangles. There's 2 and 1 more. I'm making each triangle larger to create a cone shape for my tree. See, this is what our Christmas tree will look like. Now let's create a star. I'm going to fold the piece of paper back over. I'm going to make one small triangle, then another triangle, and one more right here. And there we go. We have a Christmas tree now and a star. Now this looks like a pretty cool card, but I think it needs a little pizzazz. So to do that, we're going to take a green piece of cellophane and we're going to cut it to the size of the tree. So take your scissors and cut a small square out. Now open up your paper. Put the green cellophane right over the tree part and tape it down. Now that I have my tree covered with the green cellophane, it's time to cover the star. I'm going to use yellow cellophane for that. Take your scissors and cut a smaller piece of the yellow cellophane, large enough to cover the star. Then tape it down. Now that I have my green cellophane over the tree and my yellow cellophane over the star, it's time to put a white backing on it to really make those colors pop. I'm going to take this white piece of paper and I'm just going to tape it down. This white paper is slightly smaller than the red paper, so make sure your border is even. I'll put 2 more pieces on the top. And then refold your card. And there you go, a homemade stained glass Christmas card. Now all you have to do is write a message and send it to your favorite friend. I hope you had a great time joining me today. I'm Lisa, have a happy holiday, and I'll see you next time.
Want to continue the fun? Well, there's always more cool activities to check out on our website. Just visit www.activitytv.tv.
Made for on demand.
This recipe is beginner level. A grilled cheese sandwich is one of the simplest and yummiest snacks around. There's just something about the melty, gooey cheese on toast that really hits the spot on a cold winter's day. Hi, I'm Carrie Shankweiler, and in a moment I'm going to show you how to make this tasty sandwich yourself. Sometimes we cook on a stovetop or use tools that can be harmful, like a knife. So make sure you have an adult around to cook with you. Here are the ingredients you'll need to get started.
To print out a list of ingredients and step-by-step instructions for this recipe, please visit www.activitytv.com.
This sandwich is so easy to make. Are you ready to get started? I know I am. First thing we're going to do is butter 4 slices of bread. We're going to make 2 different kinds of grilled cheese sandwiches. So we're going to put a thin layer of butter on each slice all the way to the edges. I find it's easier to butter the bread than butter the griddle because you keep the butter right where you need it this way. It's really helpful if you use soft butter when you're spreading it because then you can really coat the whole bread. Okay, I've put a thin layer of butter on each of these slices of bread, and I'm going to use this hot griddle here to make my grilled cheese. If you don't have a griddle like this at home, you can just use a frying pan or a skillet. It'll work just as well. All right, I'm going to make two different kinds of sandwiches. I'm going to put the bread butter side down carefully on the griddle. Now it's time for me to put my fillings on. Now the cheese acts as glue, so I'm going to put a piece of cheese on each slice of bread. You can use any kind of cheese you want that's really good for melting. We have Swiss cheese, an American, and Colby cheese. All good melting cheeses. I'm going to use a combination. So I'm going to put some cheese on each slice. This will be my first layer of the glue. This will be what holds the pieces of bread together. Now on this sandwich, I'm going to put my very favorite combination, ham and pineapple. So I'm going to take a slice of ham and lay it right on top of the cheese, just like that. And now, a slice of pineapple. Now you can break this up into small pieces if you want to make sure that the pineapple goes all over. Okay, just like that. Right? And now for the second sandwich, I'm going to make tomato and onion. Great combination. All right, so I'm going to put a slice of tomato and right on top, some onion. Remember how I broke up the pineapple? I'm going to do the same thing to the onion. Spread it around, right on top of the tomato. Okay, now we need the next piece of bread to stick to the rest of the sandwich. So let's put some more cheese on top. Cover the tomato and onion. And cover the ham and pineapple. Now the last step for actually assembling the sandwiches is to put the next two slices of bread, butter side up, on top. Now, the sandwiches should be ready on one side, just because they've been sitting here on the griddle. So I'm going to carefully hold down on the top slice and flip it over. It should be nice and golden on the side that's been on the griddle. If any of your fillings fall out as you're flipping, don't worry. Just ask your grown-up helper to slide them back in with a spatula or a fork. All right, so let's flip the next one. Hold down and turn it over. Perfect. So I'm going to press down with the back of my spatula just to get that cheese melting and the two slices of bread touching. Okay, now that my area is clean and my sandwiches are nice and melted, it's time to slice them up and serve them. So I'm going to put them back on my cutting board. And I'm going to make them into triangles. So remember, flat side of the knife faces the ceiling. Cut it in half. Make sure you get through all of your toppings. That looks really good. And I'm going to cut my tomato and onion sandwich in half. Beautiful. Okay, this looks good. I like to serve my sandwiches with some fresh fruit. I already have a plate ready to go with some beautiful fresh berries. So I'm just going to serve these up so they look pretty. That's all there is to it. They're nice and gooey and ready to eat. Thanks for cooking with me today. I'm Carrie Shankweiler. See you next time.
Want to continue the fun? Well, there's always more cool activities to check out on our website. Just visit www.activitytv.com.
Made for on demand.
This recipe is intermediate level. Making homemade gingerbread is a holiday baking tradition. Hi, I'm Carrie Shankweiler, and today I'm going to show you how to make chocolate gingerbread people. Sometimes we cook on a stovetop or use tools that can be harmful. like a knife. So make sure you have an adult around to cook with you. Here are the ingredients you'll need to get started. To print out a list of ingredients and step-by-step instructions for this recipe, please visit www.activitytv.tv. This gingerbread recipe is great to make with your friends and family. So let's get started. The first thing we need to do is add some spices to some flour. So I have a bowl of flour. I'm going to add some ground ginger, some ground cinnamon, baking soda, and a pinch of salt. With my whisk, I'm going to mix all these ingredients together so that the spices are well incorporated into the rest of the flour. I don't want to do it too quickly though, because I don't want to lose any of the flour out of the bowl. Okay, that looks good. My dry ingredients are well mixed, and now it's time to mix the wet ingredients. We need some softened butter, and we're going to add some sugar to that, some granulated sugar. Now with the electric mixer, we're just going to beat that until it's creamy. With a slow speed to begin with. Once the sugar starts to mix into the butter, you can increase the speed of your mixer. Okay, that looks great. Now it's time to add some molasses. Beautiful. Molasses is what gives gingerbread its dark color. Okay, and now I'm going to add some melted chocolate. I melted my chocolate in the microwave, but if you like, you can melt your chocolate in a pot on the stove. Just make sure that you melt the chocolate over very low heat so that it doesn't burn. Adding chocolate to gingerbread is a really nice twist on this wonderful tradition. Now you just want to mix it until you can tell that all of your ingredients have been well combined. Okay, that looks good to me. Okay, now that the wet ingredients are ready, it's time to start adding the dry ingredients to the bowl. Now the trick here is you're going to add the dry ingredients alternately with some hot water. So I'm going to pour in about 1/3 of the dry ingredients. It doesn't have to be exact. Now you're going to mix this on a slow speed so the flour doesn't fly everywhere. Okay, that looks good. And now I'm going to slowly pour in about half of this hot water. We're adding hot water to the mixture so that our dough is smooth and creamy. Okay, let's add some more flour. Now we'll add about half. Whenever a recipe tells you to add dry ingredients alternately with a wet ingredient, always start with the flour and end with the flour. So let me pour in the rest of the water. Okay, and now we'll add the rest of the flour. This is going to be a rather thick dough because when it's finished, we'll chill it and then we'll roll it out and use cookie cutters to make our gingerbread people. All right, it's starting to come together really nicely. See how thick that looks? Even the beaters are having a hard time getting through it. It's so thick. It's just right. Okay, I think this looks perfect. Now let me show you a trick for how to get some of this dough out of here. You want to lift it just a little bit, but not above the rim of your bowl. We'll turn it on slowly and let some of this dough fly out. Okay, now that my dough is ready, I'm going to form it into a ball and wrap it in plastic. Okay, that's good. You're just going to pull this dough out, thus, onto the plastic wrap. Okay. This dough definitely needs to refrigerate because as you can see, it's rather soft. And we need a nice, chilled, firm dough in order to roll it out and cut out our gingerbread people. Okay, so I'm just going to cover this up. And flatten it to form a disc. Then you tuck the plastic around the edges. My dough is all wrapped up and it's ready for the fridge. My dough has been chilling for an hour and now it's time to roll it out. So I'm going to take it out of the plastic wrap. It's nice and firm. Now, I like to divide the dough in half. It's easier to work with that way. So I'm going to cut it in half and wrap this other half back up, and that'll just go back in the fridge for when I need it. All right, this part of the dough I'm going to put between 2 sheets of wax paper, okay, so that I can roll it out without the dough sticking to my rolling pin. All right, now you have to be careful when you're rolling dough out because you don't want the rolling pin to go all the way to the edge of the dough and onto the counter. Otherwise, the edges of your dough will be too thin, and when you're rolling out dough, it wants to be all the same thickness all the way through. Continually change the direction of your rolling pin. That will help the dough spread out more evenly. So you can pull it towards you, push it away from you, being really careful not to let it slip and fall off the edge of the dough. So I'm going to keep rolling this dough out until it's about 1/4 of an inch thick. While you're rolling out your dough, every so often check it to see if it's the same width and thickness all the way through. Let's just peel back the wax paper and see if it looks like it's about the same thickness. Okay, that feels good to me. So let's turn this to the side. I'm going to peel off the wax paper. I have a cookie sheet lined with parchment paper. I'm using that so that the cookies don't stick to the pan. But if you don't have parchment paper, you can grease your pan with some butter, or you can lay some foil on top. All right, so let's get started. There are usually 2 sides to a cookie cutter. There's a sharper side and a dull side. So the sharp side goes down to the dough. You want to hold your cookie cutter as close to the edge of the dough as possible so that you can use up as much of the dough as you can. Now you push down, give it a little jiggle, okay, now you peel around the edges, lift up your cookie, and place it on the cookie sheet. Okay, that looks good. Push down, give it a jiggle, peel around the edges, and lift it up. Let's make a few more of this size. Now, if you find that the dough gets stuck in the cookie cutter, just carefully press down around the edges, being very careful not to break off any of the little arms or legs, and let it fall into your hand. My tray is full. I've preheated my oven to 350 degrees, and now I'm going to bake these cookies for 5 to 6 minutes until they're just set. My cookies have baked for 6 minutes, and I've had them cooling here for about 10 minutes. They need to be completely cooled before we decorate. But now it's time to decorate. This is the really fun part. I've melted some chocolate, and I'm going to put it in this Ziploc bag. This is a very messy job. The melted chocolate acts like the glue that we're going to use to attach the decorations onto the cookies. Now let's try to squeeze out some of the air from the bag. Okay, then finish sealing it up. Now that my chocolate is in my bag, I'm going to squeeze it down to one corner. Then I'm going to cut off a tiny little part from the corner of the bag. Okay. We're going to decorate our cookies with some marshmallows and some sprinkles. But you can use any small candies that you have or any other sprinkles. Okay, I have my chocolate in the bag, and now I'm going to get some of my decorations ready. So just take a pair of scissors. I'm using marshmallows for eyes and some of the buttons. So you can just cut these up into small pieces. So you're going to use your melted chocolate, grip it from the top. I'm going to put a little dot of chocolate where the eyes will go. And then I'm just going to place one of these pieces of marshmallow right on top of the chocolate. How about some chocolate for the mouth? And let's put one of these sprinkles on. Okay. Some buttons. We'll put 2 buttons on these. Put it right on top of the melted chocolate. Okay, the first one's done. I'm just going to finish these up for my friends. Thanks for cooking with me today. I'm Carrie Shankweiler. See you next time.
Want to continue the fun? Well, there's always more cool activities to check out on our website. Just visit www.activitytv.tv.
Made for on demand.
This puppet is intermediate level.
This year, spread some Christmas cheer by putting on a puppet show with a puppet you made yourself. Hi, I'm John Kennedy, and in a moment, I'm going to show you how to make your very own elf mitten puppet.
Sometimes we use materials that require supervision, like scissors. So have fun creating this puppet with an adult helper.
Here's what you'll need to get started on this puppet project. To print out a list of supplies and step-by-step instructions for this puppet, please visit www.activitytv.tv. The elf mitten puppet is extremely festive and fun to make with your family or friends. It's also perfect for holiday puppet skits. So let's get started. You want to start with the red felt. We're going to use the elf mitten body and trace and cut out 2 elf bodies. One with the mouth slit, one without the mouth slit. If you cut inside the lines, the black marker won't show when you finished your puppet. Now just snip with the tip of your scissors to make the mouth slit. Now you're going to use the tan felt to cut out the face of your elf. You'll only need to cut one of these, and it has the mouth slit too. Next, you'll want to cut out the mouth lining with black felt, and I'm using a white pencil so you can see. Now we're going to use some white felt to cut strips to go around the gloves and around the hat. You can cut those about a 1/2 inch wide. Now we'll start assembling our puppet. Let's take the front red felt body piece that has the slit in it, put it face down, take your black felt mouth liner, and we're going to line it up on the lower lip of the mouth slit. Make sure it's perfect, and when you've got it lined up just right, we're going to put a bead of glue just on the outside edge of the lower lip to make a little pocket for your thumb later. So take your glue and make that little bead. Put the black mouth liner right over the glue, lining it up perfectly. Make sure you're not gluing it to the top of the lip, just the lower part. Then put glue on the bottom part of the black mouth liner, and we're going to fold it over to the top of the lip. This will be the back part of the mouth when the mouth opens. So put the glue just on the sides, just on the very edge, and fold it over. See how that looks? Now take your red back felt body piece and glue that on top. Now this is going to be where you put your hand in, so we won't want to put glue on the bottom edge, but only around the very outside edge of the rest of the body, including the gloves and the top of the hat. I do a side at a time so you can line it up perfectly. Now it's time to glue on the face of your puppet. So let's line up the mouth slits. You want to make sure to get around the mouth slit without gluing the face onto the mouth slit so you can't open the mouth. So line it up perfectly and make sure the mouth is free. Now we can start decorating the puppet. Let's put on some eyes. I'm using white pom-poms for the eyes and black pom-poms for the pupils. I'm also using tan pom-poms for the nose, 2 small ones for the nostrils, and 1 big part for the center of the nose. Now we're going to use some white pom-poms for buttons and the very top of the hat. Now we're going to use these white felt strips that we made to go around the gloves and the top of the hat. Just wrap them around, trim them, and glue them in place. Now if you want to add a little bit of fur for a soul patch or mutton chops or eyebrows, you can do that. Just trim a little piece and glue it in place. Now lastly, put a little bit of stuffing in the top of the hat to fill out the face. Wow, I think my elf looks great. Here's how you operate him. Put your thumb in the left glove, your pinky in the right glove, and your index, middle, and ring in the back of his head to make his whole head bob up and down to talk, like this. Or you can put your thumb in the pocket of the mouth, your index finger in his left glove, your pinky in the right glove, and your middle and ring finger in the back of the head to make his mouth move like this. See, my fingers are doing that. I like that a lot.
Me too.
Well, that's all there is to making an elf mitten puppet, and I hope you have a blast making your own. Thanks for joining me today. I'm John, and I'll see you next time.
Merry Christmas. High five.
Want to continue the fun? Well, there's always more cool activities to check out on our website. Just visit www.activitytv.tv.
Made for on demand.
This recipe is intermediate level. What could be better than ending a winter's meal with a warm dessert? Hi, I'm Carrie Shankweiler, and in a moment I'm going to show you how to make homemade bread pudding with caramel sauce. Sometimes we cook on a stovetop or use tools that can be harmful, like a knife. So make sure you have an adult around to cook with you. Here are the ingredients you'll need to get started.
To print out a list of ingredients and step-by-step instructions for this recipe, please visit www.activitytv.com.
Your family and friends will find it hard to resist returning for seconds when you make this delicious frosty weather favorite. So put on an apron and let's get cooking. The very first thing we need to do is put in some eggs that I've already cracked. They're 3 eggs and 3 egg yolks. Pour them into a large mixing bowl. Now, we're going to add some milk and some cream, heavy cream. It's going to make it nice and rich. This is the pudding part of bread pudding. All right, now we're going to add some sugar and a little bit of vanilla for some really nice flavor. All right, let's whisk this up. We want to whisk it until all of the eggs are well beaten. You don't want to see any whole yolks at the end of this. If you have to, get in there with the yolks, break them up. Now, once you have all of the eggs nicely whisked into your cream and your milk and sugar and vanilla, then the pudding part is ready. I think that looks good. So I'm going to set aside this whisk. We're finished with that. And now, this part's really fun. You're going to take a loaf of challah bread. It's fun to use this bread because it has a nice, rich flavor. And if for some reason you have, like you can find in the store, a day-old loaf of bread, it makes it even better because it soaks up a lot of moisture. So I'm just going to take this whole loaf of bread and rip it into chunks. No need for a knife here. Okay, so we'll rip this up into nice big chunks. They don't have to all be the same size. All right. Now, before I add any more bread, let me try to toss this around a little because you want all of the bread to soak in the moisture of that cream and egg mixture. I'm going to just turn this around. You can use your hands to help out. That way you can keep control over the bread so it doesn't fall out of your bowl. Make sure you use a nice big bowl for this job. All right, let's rip up the rest of the bread now. Okay, it's really tempting. I want to have a bite of this bread. It feels so good. All right, that's good. Let's finish tossing this around so it's nicely coated all around. This is a gooey, messy, fun job. All right, just about well coated now. I think this is good. All right, now we're going to pour this soaked egg mixture into a nicely greased oven-proof pan. Pour it slowly, hold it to the middle. In case any of the liquid pours out, we want it to land all in the pan. All right, finish with this. Now, this is a time to make sure that all of your bread is nicely coated. So you can even move it around with your fingers if you need to spread it out evenly. And if you see any pieces of bread that still look dry, turn them upside down. You can see this piece still looks a little dry. So just turn it upside down so it's right into that egg mixture. I think this looks good. Okay, now that the bread pudding is ready, I'm going to put it in a preheated 350-degree oven. We're going to bake that for about 40 minutes until it's nice and golden brown. While we wait for this to finish baking, I'm going to make some caramel sauce. So at the stove, I'm going to put into my pan some maple syrup. I like to use real maple syrup when I make this. Some cream. Some sugar. This is granulated sugar. And we're going to also add some brown sugar. Now, I'm going to turn the stove on to a medium-high heat. Eventually, we want this mixture to come to a boil, but we want to do it gradually. We don't want this mixture to boil until the sugar is completely dissolved. If you bring it up to a boil too fast, your caramel will be grainy. You want it to be smooth and creamy. So let's slowly dissolve the sugar on a medium-high heat. This should just take a few minutes. Okay, so you can see that the cream is starting to be incorporated into this brown sugar, creating a really beautiful caramel color. And I can feel that the sugar is starting to dissolve because it feels less grainy on the bottom of the pan with the whisk. Makes a really pretty swirl while it's cooking. Okay, the sugar is fully dissolved, and now we're going to bring it up to a boil. And we're just going to let it sit for about 5 minutes while it boils rapidly. And it will start to look really bubbly all the way through. Okay, the caramel has been boiling for about 5 minutes, and now we're going to turn off the heat and just let it sit for a few minutes. Okay, my bread pudding has been baking for 40 minutes. It's time to take it out. Set this down. That looks perfect. I'm going to set it here. It's nice and golden. Okay, and the caramel sauce is finished, and now it's time to serve myself a piece. In this bowl, put some of this bread pudding. Okay, put some in the bowl. Beautiful. And I'm going to spoon some of this incredible caramel sauce right on top. Oh, this is going to be so good. Drizzle it all around. And you can let a little bit of extra caramel sauce in the bottom so it soaks up into the bread pudding, like that. That's perfect. That looks delicious. Thank you for cooking with me today. I'm Carrie Shankweiler. See you next time.
Want to continue the fun? Well, there's always more cool activities to check out on our website. Just visit www.activitytv.com.
Made for on demand.
This cartoon is intermediate level. Welcome to Activity TV. So you want to be a cartoonist? Then you've come to the right place. Now, S is for Santa, who, by the way, can easily be drawn from that letter S, and I'll show you how. Here are the art supplies you'll need to get started. To print out a list of supplies and step-by-step instructions for this cartoon, please visit www.activitytv.tv. All right, let's get started and draw Santa from the letter S. Now, this is called a doodle trick, and doodle tricks are where you take numbers or letters or even words and turn them into a finished cartoon. Now, in this case, we'll use the letter S, and the good part about that is most of the drawing is already done simply by writing that letter S. Here, I'll show you what I mean. Right over here, I'll write the letter S, and we'll look at that letter and say, well, what can we use this curly part for, and what can we use that part for? And you come up with a cartoon. Now, in this case, this part here we're going to use for Santa's nose. So right up here, we're going to put his eye. And I'm going to make a black circle in the center of that and darken it all in, except for that little bit of white. And over here, I'm going to draw another circle for his other eye. So we've got Santa's eyes on top of that shape that we said could be for a nose. Now let's put some eyebrows in. Now he's got kind of fluffy eyebrows, so we'll make it like clouds like that. We'll do the same thing over here. Kind of let it rest right on that top part of the S too. All right, now that's his nose. Now we're going to put in his mustache and kind of a curvy line like that, and then come back and connect it underneath his nose like that. Now let's do the same thing over here, only most of it's kind of hidden underneath his nose, so we'll just do the curvy part there and come back and meet it where the other one was. All right, now we're going to make a smile underneath for his mouth. And now curvy line like this for his bottom lip. Now we can leave that white like that for his teeth, but you know what? I think we're going to draw a line from there to there and make it, yeah, it's still his teeth over here, but this we're going to darken in, except for that little part there we'll leave for his tongue, like he may be talking or laughing. Okay, now let's put a curved line like that for his cheek, and maybe a line like that under his eye, just for a little bit of detail, because now we're going to do the fun part. We're going to draw his beard, and all you have to do is get some fluffy strokes going like this. You can't go wrong. Whatever you do, friends, is going to work. Just go back and forth, keep it loose, and get that spontaneous look to your work, and that means loose. Some over here, let's put some hair, just like that, and a little bit of hair over here. And now for his famous hat, which is also a little bit fluffy because it's kind of a fur hat. So we're going to wiggle that line as well, like we did for his beard, and come over, stop where we get to the eyebrow, continue over, and connect it. And we can put a little detail on there like that, make it look like it is a fur hat. A little bit over there as well. Okay, now we're going to draw the top part of his hat. Come around, just a big curvy line. Whatever you do will work there. And come around and kind of double that line, but taper it to the point right there. Then you just put a pom-pom on the end, and there you got Santa's hat. Came out great. And now that we have the drawing already done, let's add some color to really kind of bring out this drawing. And what colors are we going to use? Well, of course, some red, because it is Christmas time, some light peach, and we're going to do a blending trick here, which I'll show you in a moment too. First, we're going to put a little bit of light peach in for his face and for his nose. Now I'm going to leave a little bit of white in the center of his nose, and because I want that highlighter shining, because he's got a big red nose. And now I'm going to use a little bit of red for his cheeks, because he's got rosy cheeks. He's known for that. Maybe a little bit over there. Now I'm going to kind of make a circular motion for his nose like this. Now, I'm going to use my finger and kind of blend that, make it nice and smooth, so it's not too red, and it softens it a little bit. See how nice that works? Now a little bit of red for his hat. And you could be using colored pencils if you like. Crayons work well. I'm using chalk. And there you have it. I could use a little bit of light gray for his beard just to kind of shade it a little bit. And the great thing about holidays, especially Christmas here, is you've got all kinds of great characters built right in, like Santa here. And that just about does it. I've got a little bit of red for his tongue. And there you have a great cartoon doodle trick from the letter S of one of the superstars of Christmas time, Santa Claus. I'm Bruce Blitz saying thanks for being with me, and keep on cartooning.
Want to continue the fun? Well, there's always more cool activities to check out on our website. Just visit www.activitytv.tv.
This recipe is expert level. When it's cold outside, I tend to crave food that will really stick to my ribs. Don't you? Hi, I'm Carrie Shankweiler, and today I'm going to show you how to make chicken pot pie, so stick around. Sometimes we cook on a stovetop or use tools that can be harmful, like a knife. So make sure you have an adult around to cook with you. Here are the ingredients you'll need to get started.
To print out a list of ingredients and step-by-step instructions for this recipe, please visit www.activitytv.com.
You don't have to wait for cold weather to make this delicious pot pie. It's great anytime, but it definitely brightens up cold, dreary days. Let's get started. The first thing I need to do is heat up some veggies. So I'm going to turn on my stove to a medium-high heat. Now into my pan, I'm going to put some butter. Okay, I'm going to let that melt a bit, and then as it melts, I'm going to add some vegetables. I have carrots and peas, celeries, and some potatoes. This is a nice hearty combination of vegetables for a pot pie. I'm going to add the vegetables to the butter that's melting, and you just want to saute them till they're tender, just a few minutes. Okay, let's get the rest of this out. All right, set that aside. So I'm just going to move these vegetables around with my spoon over the heat, get them all coated with butter. Okay, looks like my veggies are nice and tender. And now we're going to add some more butter and some flour. I'm going to do this with a whisk. This part is called making a roux. The word is R-O-U-X. And it's really going to just make this a thicker kind of a gravy. So we're going to add this butter. I'm going to let it melt a little bit in the pan. And then as this butter melts, I'm going to add some flour, sprinkling it around the pan. Once you add the flour, it cooks up pretty quickly and you want to keep it moving so that the flour doesn't burn. So let me sprinkle this around. I'm going to start to whisk. All right, now watch what happens. It becomes a thicker kind of a substance, but you want to make sure that all the flour touches the heat because you don't want to taste the flour. You just want to be able to create a thicker sauce. So you can see how it's getting thicker right around the potatoes especially. I'm going to cook this for about a minute just to get rid of that flour taste. All right, I think this looks good. It's nice and thick. It has completely coated all of my vegetables. So now I'm going to gradually add my chicken broth. Be a nice sizzle. Now I can stir this a little slower because I don't want the liquid to splatter. But you're going to see that after we cook this for about 2 to 3 minutes, it will start to get thicker. And that's just what we want. We want this to create more of a thick gravy inside our casserole dish. All right, do you see how it's getting thicker here? Much thicker than the chicken broth was before. Let's let this go another minute till it's a little thicker. And then we're gonna add some heavy cream. All right, this looks good. I'm gonna slowly add in some heavy cream. Whisking the whole time. It's really important to hold the bowl of liquid directly over the pan, so if it drizzles down the side, it doesn't land all over your stove. It actually lands right in the pan. Okay, here we go. Now this is what's gonna make a really creamy mixture for our pot pie. Let's get it all blended in. And while I'm stirring this, I'm gonna add a few pinches of salt for some flavor. Okay, you see how it's becoming really creamy now? A paler color. All right, let me let that sit a minute while I put some freshly ground black pepper. Let's put some pepper. Just enough to taste. Okay, let's keep stirring that a bit so it's nice and thick. So I think this looks perfectly ready for me to add the chicken. Okay, I'm going to turn off the stove and stir in some already cooked chicken that's cut into bite-sized pieces. Let your grown-up helper add this part. Pouring it in slowly and always away from yourself so that if it does splatter, it splatters away. Okay, let me stir that in. I'm going to use my wooden spoon to stir this in because now there are a lot of big pieces in my pan and I don't want them getting stuck in my whisk. So we're going to stir this all in. You have to be really careful now because you see how full my pan is? We don't want it to all start splattering. All right, you just want to coat all the chicken in this nice thick creamy sauce with all of the vegetables. I'm going to put a little more salt in. Just a little. So my sauce is ready, it's nice and thick, and the chicken has had a chance to soak up some of these good juices. And now it's time for me to pour my sauce into this greased 2-quart casserole dish. Okay, now remember, this is a hot liquid, so you have to be very careful. Nice and slowly so it doesn't splatter. Doesn't that look good? Once you have the filling in your casserole dish, you're going to cover it with a pre-made pie crust, a pie crust that has not yet been cooked. What I'm going to do to get this off of the wax paper, I'm going to just carefully, gently fold it in half, then lift it up, lay one half down on one side of the casserole dish, and then carefully unfold the other half so it's laying right on top of the pan. Okay, you really want to make sure that the pie crust covers the entire casserole dish. We want to really seal it in. So I'm going to take the pie crust and gently wrap it around the edges of the entire pan. We don't want any of the heat to escape from the edges. So I'm wrapping it around, tuck it around the edges. This will keep your pot pie pretty much from bubbling out. All right, so I have it pretty well gripped on here to the edges, but you're going to need to take a knife and make a little vent in the top. You can make a little X, you could make a shape if you wanted. I'm just gonna make an X. And the reason why you need to pierce a hole at the top of a pie like this that you're baking is because inside the oven it will generate so much heat and steam, and the steam will need a place to go. If we don't give it a place to go, it will explode. Okay, now that the chicken pot pie is ready, I'm going to put it in an oven that has been preheated to 375 degrees. All right, I need 2 hands for this job. It's pretty heavy. All right. Now we're going to let this bake for about 40 minutes. We want it to be golden brown. Now we just have to wait patiently till it's ready. Well, it's been about 40 minutes and my house smells delicious from this pot pie, and I know it's ready. Oh, look at that. It's perfect. It's nice and golden brown. It's piping hot on the inside. And it's just the right thing to serve on a cold day. Thanks for cooking with me today. I'm Carrie Shankweiler. See you next time.
Want to continue the fun? Well, there's always more cool activities to check out on our website. Just visit www.activitytv.com.
Made for on demand.
This cartoon is expert level. Welcome to Activity TV. So you want to be a cartoonist? Then you've come to the right place. Hi, I'm Bruce Blitz, and today we're going to draw a happy boy who magically turns into the reason why he's so happy. Here are the art supplies you'll need to get started. To print out a list of supplies and step-by-step instructions for this cartoon, please visit www.activitytv.tv. All right, let's get started and we'll draw this happy boy, and I'm going to lay this cartoon out with my pencil. So I'll start with an oval shape right about here, just like that, maybe more like a circle, and I'll add some detail to that with my marker. All right, now right over here we'll draw some eyes, just two black dots, one here and one there. And now I'm going to put some lines around those eyes for the white part, which are really nothing but C's and a backwards C right there. Okay, what else? Well, let's give him a little nose, small nose like that, and a smile. Yeah, he looks happy already. Let's see, let's give him some puffy, rosy cheeks like that. Let's give him some ears around the side, which is a C, and another one over here, and some lines inside. You don't need much detail for that. It's the winter time, so let's put a kind of scarf on him. So we'll kind of cut that circle a little bit right before the bottom there and kind of fluff it around because it's a furry kind of scarf. And let's add some detail to that, coming around this way, maybe at the end, kind of a pom-pom. And that looks Christmassy. And let's double that line and come back to that part of his scarf. All right, now let's see, what can we do now? Well, we're going to put some hair on him. He's got very fluffy, curly hair, so let's do that. Give him some real fluffy hair, and let's give him a couple curls right on his forehead like that, and come up and around and connect it to the ears. And let's see, let's add some fluff within the hair like that. And how about a big fluffy curl right there, some more. Well, now we can darken in the rest of the shape that we started with in pencil, just like that. And we can even put some hair down, going down to his neck, like that. Now, you know what I'm going to do now, friends? I'm going to take my eraser and I'm going to erase the pencil line that we used for a guide in the beginning. And there we have the happy little boy. All right, now that we have the drawing of the happy boy finished, let's add some color and kind of bring it all out. So I'm going to use a little bit of light peach for the boy's face. And just like that. And let's see, well, it's Christmas time. Let's make it a red scarf and color that in as well. It's cold out, as you can see, and he's wearing a scarf, and he's smiling, and he's very happy. Now that we have the drawing all finished and colored in, I'm going to show you the reason why this boy is so happy. You turn the drawing over and he's really thinking of Santa Claus. Now this is a trick cartoon with a surprise ending where you turn it over and it has a whole different meaning. Now I'll show you how I did this. Now if you take a look at this picture of Santa Claus, his fluffy beard was actually the boy's fluffy hair, and the boy's scarf turned into his hat, And the eyes, they were used for both drawings, and same with the ears. The only part that it got a little bit tricky was I had to draw the boy's hair where it came down in like two bangs, 2 points over here, in order to create Santa's nose. And there you have it, a trick cartoon with a surprise ending. I'm Bruce Blitz saying thanks for being with me, and keep on cartooning.
Want to continue the fun? Well, there's always more cool activities to check out on our website. Just visit www.activitytv.tv.
Made for on demand.